This is Elon Musk's $300 million jet collection, and it's got features you couldn't even imagine. But I'm also going to show you how he spends $216 million on his kids, his $80 million neighborhood, his car collection, and so much more. But first, let's start with his shoes, which are so rare. He almost faced 6 months in prison for him, because in 2019, he revealed the Tesla Model Y at the Tesla Design Center in California. But he can't be releasing the best car in history looking like this. He had to wear something so controversial, it's literally illegal in California. He's not trying to risk another lawsuit, so he hasn't been seen wearing them since. Those shoes only costed $1,500 though, which is nothing compared to what he plans to wear on Mars. Because in space, time works a little differently, and he had to make sure his wrist game was on point. So he called up Tag Heuer to make him something special, and that's exactly what they gave him. This is the limited edition Carrera 1887 SpaceX, and it was released on the 50th anniversary of the first ever Swiss watch worn in space. But you can buy that watch yourself for $10K. So while Elon's on Earth, he knew he had to step it up. So not only did he buy an Audemars Piguet for 50 grand, he also bought a Richard Mille for $200,000. Now that's crazy, but his car collection is out of this world. No, literally. He put his personal $100,000 Tesla Roadster on a rocket that he made and sent it into space. Who does that? He even live streamed the whole event, and you can track where it is in space right now. And since he's never getting that one back, he just bought another one. But Elon doesn't just own Teslas, because since he's made the first mass-produced electric car, it's only right he owns the first mass-produced gas car too, the 1920 Ford Model T. That car barely works and it cost him $25K. But did you know his dream car was also a gas car? When Elon was 17, he saw the Jaguar E-Type in a magazine and instantly fell in love with it. At that point though, Elon was broke like the rest of us, with only $2,000 to his name and $100,000 in debt. But once he made just enough, he copped it immediately. And believe it or not, that car barely works too.
And then the first car I bought, a 1967 Series 1 E-Type Jag. Kept breaking down on me, caused me all sorts of trouble. In fact, it broke down on the way back from the dealer.
Now, $100K is a lot for a car that breaks down, but one of his most expensive cars almost cost him his life. Because after Elon made his first bag off PayPal, he leveled up and bought a $1 million McLaren F1. Until one day,
I didn't really know how to drive the McLaren, so I floored it and did a lane change and started spinning. I remember seeing the cars coming towards me while I was going backwards, and then we hit an embankment, which tossed the car into the air like a discus, and we blew the suspension out. All the glass and the wheels and everything was shredded, and there was massive body damage in the front and rear.
Elon needed a new car, except he wanted something that was even crazier. So we decided he had to buy a car that could literally turn into a submarine. Yeah, this car from James Bond actually works. And after a couple found it in an abandoned storage unit, Elon swapped it up for $1 million, bringing his total car collection to be worth over $2.8 million. But where the hell is he going to store all these cars though? Well, maybe in the entire neighborhood he bought, full of mansions in Bel Air. At first, he just bought one house, like any average person, except that it was worth $17 million. This mansion's got 7 bedrooms, a gym, a spa, a tennis court. I mean, this place even has its own movie theater. Wait, even Elon subscribed, and this is only our first video, so why aren't you? Subscribe. And he liked the place so much, he decided to get 6 more of them. Bro's really got 7 houses with gyms, and still looks like Peter Griffin. And all those mansions are pretty much the same, except for one. Because Elon straight up bought Willy Wonka's house, which looks normal on the outside, but it's got some weird stuff on the inside.
Don't you have Gene Wilder's house?
It's a real quirky house, yeah. All the cabinets are like odd shapes. There's like doors to nowhere and corridors and tunnels and odd paintings on the wall.
But Elon wasn't trying to live in that creepy ass house, so obviously, he turned it into a school for his kids.
Let's look at the physics and economics of a rocket.
I mean, I'm not gonna question one of the richest men in the world, because he's the one who can afford an $80 million neighborhood. All that Tesla money must be nice. So you know the boy to get a diamond Tesla ring to celebrate. And Elon usually isn't one to flex diamonds, but since it was gifted by Ben Baller, he let it slide. He has bought one piece of jewelry though, except it wasn't for himself. Straight from his father's emerald mine, he gifted this green emerald on a 14-karat gold necklace to his college girlfriend. And after they broke up, he probably wasn't hurt like I'd be after spending $50K on it. But his second wife got millions. Because once Elon found out how much girls care about rings, he splashed on 3 different engagement rings for his new girl. The first ring he bought was 100 bands, but since Elon was making hundreds of millions, she roasted him for being cheap. So to make up for it, he bought her a ring worth $300,000. And to her surprise, that was only the ring for everyday use. He also bought her a ring for special occasions, which had 10 sapphires and a diamond so big it cost him $1 million, bringing the total he spent on jewelry to $1.5 million. Clearly, Elon didn't give a fuck about spending that bag either, because he divorced her 2 years later and slid her 16 mil for the trouble. But what if I told you he's spending way more on his kids? The average parent spends about $300K total on their kid, but Elon's kids definitely aren't average. They go to private school and fly in his private jet for vacations, which racks up to about $1 million per year. So this man is at least spending $24 million on just one kid. But dude has 9 kids, making his total check around $216 million. Now that's expensive, but he probably doesn't care when he's buying multiple jets. Elon couldn't stand just owning one jet, so of course he bought 5 of them. His first jet cost him 26 mil, and it's got your typical recliner seats, dining room, and bedroom. But he bought this before he became a billionaire. So once he leveled up from M's to B's, he couldn't be seen flying around the same tiny jet as Taylor Swift. Nah, he saw billionaire Mark Cuban own a Gulfstream G550 and had to one-up him. So he copped 2 of them for $62 million each. But it wasn't long until a newer model came out, the G650, and the difference between them is insane. On the G650, there's 1 extra seat. That's it. That's the only difference. Just like how you buy the new iPhone that's the same as your old one, billionaires do that but with private jets. Except instead of paying $1,000, billionaires drop $75 million. And recently, Elon dropped another $75 mil on the newest Gulfstream, the G700. Can you guess what the difference between those are? I'll give you a hint. You know how they keep making the iPhones a little bigger each year? Yep, they pretty much just made the plane a little bit bigger. When you're worth over $200 billion though, spending $300 mil on jets ain't a big deal. But Elon's biggest purchase might be the biggest flex ever. Because for normal people, when they don't like how an app works, they just uninstall it. But when you're Elon Musk, you just straight up buy it. Because when Twitter was censoring tons of people, Elon decided to take a little break from getting us to Mars to make sure we still got free speech. And even though Twitter was losing billions of dollars, he bought it anyway. I mean, imagine having so much money that you don't even care if you lose billions. Because he paid way more than he needed to. Literally for the memes. One of Elon's favorite memes is 420. So he decided to buy all the shares of the company at $54.20. Dude must have been high when he agreed to that deal. It's been estimated that he overpaid by $19 billion, bringing the total to purchase this failing bird app to $44 billion. But it looks like Elon's trying to turn the app around, because recently, Elon rebranded Twitter to X, and he said he's going to turn it into a super app. And if it's anything like China's WeChat, X could be worth upwards of $80 billion. But there's someone that's almost as rich as Elon that also owns expensive things. And Jeff Bezos owns some of the craziest things I've ever seen, like the world's biggest clock and extremely rare secrets from the bottom of the ocean. These are stupidly expensive things Jeff Bezos owns. And first up, Jeff bought a dog that can literally do his laundry. This robot dog named Spot can do a lot more than just this. Like when Jeff needs a beer, all he needs to do is put his cup down and let Spot take a piss. But in case that grosses you out, Spot can just go to the store and grab some snacks instead. And after Jeff's done eating, it'll clean up after him. Hell, it could even be his bodyguard if he upgrades to the gun attachment. And if you're worried about it going rogue like the Terminator, don't worry, it has a kill switch. And even though this dog cost Bezos $75K, it still ain't perfect. So if Bezos is trying to keep himself protected, he can't just rely on his dog. Because there are powerful people out there trying to murder him, which is why he has the most expensive private security in the world. Because when a journalist was killed in Saudi Arabia, Bezos blamed the assassination on a Saudi prince, and their government didn't take that lightly, allegedly threatening Bezos and hacking his phone to blackmail him about his secret affair. So not only did Bezos install military-grade bulletproof glass into his office, he hired 9 bodyguards to follow him around everywhere. And that ain't cheap, coming out to $1.6 million a year just to keep Amazon's golden boy safe. But that's still not as much as the millions he spent recovering a lost relic from the depths of the ocean. And no, it's not another submarine. It's actually something that fell out of the sky. Because if you didn't know, Bezos is a huge space fan. When he was a kid, he was inspired by the Apollo missions to the moon, so he was willing to pay anything to get his hands on a piece of that history. And it turns out, in the deepest parts of the Pacific Ocean, there are pieces of the rocket engine that put America in space. So Bezos hired a crew to dig out the remains, and it cost millions to restore. Just one of these engines costs around $15 million, but we'll never know how much Jeff spent on his little expedition because he wanted to keep it a secret. And he's not even keeping the engine for himself. He actually donated it to a museum for the world to see. Maybe Bezos isn't such an evil guy. Okay, never mind. But when you're worth $165 billion, you gotta buy something nice for yourself. Like a stupidly expensive car collection. And you already know he's got your standard rich guy cars, like a stretch limo, Escalade, and Range Rover. But when he earned his first $10 billion back in the year 2000, he bought something you'd never believe. He bought a 1997 Honda Accord? No, for real. Dude was literally worth billions and decided to drop $10,000 on a Honda. But that broke boy mentality didn't last long, because he leveled up and bought a $3 million Ferrari Pininfarina Sergio. There were only 6 of these made in the world, but it's still the cheapest supercar he owns. Because he also bought a 1 of 7 W Motors Lycan Hypersport, and it's the only car in the world that has doors like this. But every billionaire needs this next car, because it's a classic flex. And if you asked him,
what color is your Bugatti?
Bezos would say Oreo, because he bought a black and white Bugatti Veyron, and it's by far the fastest car in his collection, reaching 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. So it makes sense why he copped it for $3.5 million. But he spent even more than that on a diamond-studded car. Jeff's Koenigsegg CCXR Trevita is covered in 1 million small white diamonds held together with a carbon fiber weave. And being one of 3, it set Bezos back 4.8 mil. But his last and most expensive car is a Lamborghini Veneno Roadster. This special edition Lambo was made for the 50th anniversary of the company, so it cost him $10 million, making his total collection around 20 mil. Obviously, a billionaire is gonna have a bunch of supercars, but Bezos ain't your average billionaire. Cause I bet you didn't know, man spent $42 million on a clock. This thing is 500 feet tall, so imagine a clock literally bigger than the Pyramid of Giza built into a Texas mountainside. And since Bezos is focused on the future, instead of showing seconds and minutes, this clock shows years and centuries. So it'll tick once every year and chime every 100 years. There's also 5 secret rooms, like in a pyramid, set to open up across a 10,000 year period. That's if we don't blow up the planet before then. But billionaires don't gotta worry about that, cause Jeff can just fly away in his private jet. And you already know he can't just own one jet, he needs multiple. When he first became a billionaire, he bought a Falcon 900EX, but it was still too boring for him. So he gold-plated the bathrooms and threw a king-size bed in there, costing him $13 million. That was when he was only worth a couple build-up. So in 2015, when he leveled up to $70 billion, he had to get rid of that peasant plane and buy a better one. He decided to go with the Gulfstream G650ER because it's basically a flying house. It's got multiple bedrooms, bathrooms, couches, TVs, you name it, it's got it. Bro maxed out the customizations like it's GTA, and that's why it cost him $75 million. But he wasn't happy with just one, so he copped the exact same one again, making his total private jet fleet worth $150 million. And since Jeff contributes to half the world's pollution with those, he gets a lot of hate. So he wanted to buy something that could control people's minds. And what better way to do that than to buy the news? But Bezos had his eyes on the Washington Post, the #1 news source for Washington, D.C. I mean, he wanted it so badly, he immediately agreed to the first price the owners gave him, $250 million. And I'm sure you'll never see a bad article about good old Jeff in that newspaper anymore, because now he has the power to attack anyone he wants with articles. But if you think $250 million is expensive, just wait until you hear how much his mansions cost. Because obviously he's gonna have more than just a couple mansions. Dude has 7, and some of them are pretty weird. Like his DC home, which actually used to be a museum before he bought it. He really wiped away all that history just for the place to be empty most of the time. So instead of old relics, it's now got a movie theater, whiskey tasting room, elevators, a ballroom, 11 bedrooms, and 25 bathrooms, costing him $36 million in total. Who even needs that many rooms? And that's just one mansion. He's got another in Miami worth $68 million. This waterfront mansion's got 7 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms, a full-on sauna, and a giant pizza oven in the wall. He loved the place so much that he wanted a second one, so he kicked out his neighbor and bought the place for $79 million. His next property though is worth $80 million, but it's not even a mansion, it's an apartment. He bought a 4-floor New York City penthouse. It's got your standard marble floors, library, and a glass fireplace. But it's one of the only buildings with a perfect view of the Empire State. But his last mansion's gotta be my favorite, because not only is it in Hawaii where the weather is perfect, it's also got some of the craziest views I've ever seen. First off, you got your own private beach. But to the right of that, there's a whole ass lava field from a 1,000-year-old volcanic eruption. And there isn't just one mansion on this property, there's actually 3. So it makes sense why he spent $78 million. But the local Hawaiians are getting more pissed by the day, because Bezos isn't the first billionaire to buy a ton of land on these small islands. And if they ever decide to invade his property, he's basically got a military base in his backyard, so I'm sure he'll be fine. You really think Jeff Bezos would care? He could buy anything he wants. I mean, he even has the record in California for the most expensive home ever bought. It's still being constructed in Beverly Hills. But just to buy the land and knock down the old house, it cost this man $165 million, making his entire portfolio of mansions at least $500 million. Because there's still hidden properties no one even knows about. But that's still nothing compared to Jeff Bezos spending $4 billion on his balls. And he saved them just for his favorite employees. Jeff, not those balls. Bezos Balls is the nickname for Jeff's special Amazon offices. And this place is basically a giant greenhouse, with glass walls on the outside and over 40,000 exotic plants on the inside. I mean, the largest tree in his balls is over 50 feet tall. You can visit this private jungle too if you buy tickets. And you'll see Amazon employees working away in the jungle like it's a zoo, because Jeff thinks it'll fuel their creativity. Nah, this brings a whole new meaning to sweatshops. And even though Bezos loves his balls, I'm sure he enjoys his yacht even more, because it's one of the most expensive private boats in the world. And it's not just any yacht, it's a sailboat, meaning this thing can move without an engine, which is pretty crazy, considering this boat is over 400 feet tall. Aside from being the biggest sailboat in the world, this yacht comes with some unbelievable stuff. It's got his own $10 million helicopter that surprisingly Bezos' wife can fly herself. But it's also got jacuzzis, a nightclub, a garage for supercars, and you guessed it, a submarine. Hopefully that sub is built better than others. And to make it even more unique, the entire yacht can be manned by one person. Most yachts need a whole crew. This freak of a boat costs $25 million a year to maintain, and set Bezos back $500 million to buy the damn thing. But the most expensive thing he owns is a piece of paper. Because in 2019, Jeff's wife caught him cheating with his mistress, and rightfully she was pissed. But for some dumbass reason, Jeff was doing all of that without signing a prenup. And just like Kanye said,
"Cause when she leave your ass, she gon' leave with half."
Honestly, his ex-wife had the best investment of all time, because she married him when his net worth was at its lowest and divorced him at its peak, securing her a total bag of $38 billion. But there's a billionaire that's known for being a bachelor that spends money like there's no tomorrow, because Drake's $185 million jet has some insane custom features. But he also owns a $100 million amusement park and the most expensive shoes ever made. But there's so much more. Like, he owns the most expensive NBA championship ring in history. Yeah, Drake's definitely a hooper, but obviously he wasn't an NBA player. He's an ambassador for the Toronto Raptors. Even though it was controversial, he received a championship ring from the team, but he wasn't satisfied with just that. So we got a custom ring made with 30-carat diamonds, more than any NBA ring in history, and that's why it's worth $150,000. But this next item could send Drake to prison for over 10 years. Because when he bought cover art for his upcoming album Her Loss, he got sued for using a fake Vogue cover. Copyright infringement has a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison, so he had to pay a $4 million fine. Small price to pay to avoid prison, which would have changed his life forever. But Drake's life actually changed when he discovered Tupac, because he inspired him to rap. So we got 2 Jesus pendants commissioned with Tupac's face on them, both for $300K a piece. But that's not where Drake's Tupac obsession stops. Apparently, when you sit down on his heated toilet seats, Tupac's Hit 'Em Up starts playing on loop. Lil Yachty said it gets pretty annoying though.
Every time it's like, yeah, you fat mother. It's so annoying when you gotta take a shit.
But Drake bought his craziest Tupac item at an auction. They were selling Pac's famous crown ring, worn during his last public appearance on the MTV Music Awards, just days before he was murdered. The ring is engraved Pac and Dada in 1996, a reference to Pac's girl Kadada Jones. He put down $1.02 million for the ring, making it the most valuable hip-hop artifact ever sold. Drake's not just a fan of Pac though, he's a huge fan of the NBA too. He spent hundreds of thousands on courtside tickets, but he also bought something that trolled Steph Curry so bad, it ended up costing the Warriors a championship. For Game 1 of the 2019 Finals, Steph Curry and the Warriors were set to play Drake's Raptors, and Drake wanted to throw him off their game, so he called up a rare jersey collector who rushed to fulfill his unique request a couple days before the game. This jersey was so rare that the owner didn't even want to sell it to Drake, so he negotiated the hell out of the price. The jersey originally belonged to Steph's dad, Del Curry, when he briefly played for the Raptors. It was so rare since he only played with them for 3 years, so it cost him $15 grand. Having Curry on the back of an opposing team's jersey really got in the head of the Warriors, costing them the game, and it set the stage for them to lose the finals. Even though Drake likes to drop a bag on himself, he also gives back to his fans. He's known to give out Chanel or Louis bags to girls in the audience, but one fan got something extra special. During one of his shows, Drake saw someone in the audience holding up a sign, saying the fan had spent all of his furniture money just to see him live. Drake felt so bad that he told the fan he'd give him 50 bands for the support.
You know what, my man? Your furniture money, I'm gonna give you 50 bands.
Kinda dumb to spend all your money on a concert ticket, but I guess it ended up working out. But 50K is nothing to Drake, because Drake also owns the most expensive shoes ever made, and you can't even wear them. They're actually more of an art piece than shoes, because they're made of solid gold. They're a collaboration with Drake's record label OVO and the Air Jordan 10s. The artist that made these said he chose the 10s because they have one of the best designs. I mean, just look at these. I understand why Drake paid 2.1 mil for them. They weigh more than 100 pounds though. Imagine trying to hit a jumper. But those shoes got nothing on Drake's car collection. Because after he blew up and left his Acura days, he traded in that Acura for a Bugatti Veyron Sang Noir, costing him 2.2 million. And if you're wondering why it costs so much, it's 1 out of the 12 made, making Drake the only Canadian owner. It was also the first car to go over 250 miles an hour and reach 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. That was the purchase that turned Aubrey into Drake, because after that, he bought 7 other supercars, like a $500,000 Lamborghini Aventador, 900K Mercedes Maybach G650 Landaulet, and $1 million LaFerrari. But one of his craziest cars looks just like a fighter jet. This is the DeVille 16, worth over $2 million. I mean, this thing looks straight out of 2070, and it puts the Bugatti to shame, because it could go over 350 miles per hour. Drake's weirdest car is probably his Chrome Hearts Rolls-Royce Cullinan. It's got goth crosses and lily flowers like the Saints logo, all embroidered in the black leather. And when he turns out the lights, the ceiling lights up with stars. But that little club on wheels wasn't enough for Drake, because after the Astroworld disaster, Drake needed to blow off some steam and went to a Houston strip club, leaving over $1 million on the floor for him.
Say thanks, Drake!
So he's no stranger to clubbing, even saying in multiple songs that he personally hires strippers. He loves them so much that he even bought a club in Houston called the Ballet for millions. Drake claimed it wasn't a strip club, but instead a new dance experience for amazing women. I don't know, man, sounds like a strip club to me. But Drake could buy whatever the hell he wants, like one of the most expensive jewelry collections of any celebrity, starting with a chain from the legend Frank Ocean himself. The chain was worn by Frank at the 2021 Met Gala. It features over 9,000 diamonds and 18-karat white gold, making it worth 1.9 mil. Drake's also got a watch where he can literally keep up his gambling addiction on the move. This is the Jacob & Co. Astronomia Casino, and it's got a whole operational roulette table on the inside. Drake's customized version is worth over 600K, but you already know he had to get a piece of jewelry made for his brand OVO. The logo's an owl, so we copped an owl pendant made of over a pound of gold with diamonds all over it, worth about 2 mil. Then, he got together with Pharrell Williams and bought over 3 million worth of bling from him, including a golden Sony PSP. That's not even the dumbest piece in his collection though, because one day, a fan commented on his post saying his teeth looked dirty. That comment must have got to Drake, because he responded saying,
I have a pink diamond in my tooth. I brush with activated charcoal before any club night where I would see baddies. Know that.
I don't know why he got a diamond that small. It just looks like there's constantly food stuck in his teeth. That little speck of a diamond is worth 15K, but his biggest jewelry purchase showed that Drake's the biggest simp. He got a necklace made to symbolize his past engagements, and you know that's gotta be a whole lot of hoes. 42 diamonds for 42 girls? Ain't no way he proposed that many times, but he's tripping. The necklace itself is 351 carats of diamonds, mounted in 18-karat white gold. Every diamond was hand-selected, which put the cost at 12.5 mil. That's more than my whole life is worth on a necklace. His jewelry collection altogether is worth about 50 mil. Damn. But that's nothing compared to his private jet called Air Drake, and it's worth an absolutely insane amount. The late legend Virgil Abloh designed the artwork that wraps the plane. It features a blue sky and Drake's OVO owl logo on the tail. On the inside, he's got 3 private suites, 2 living rooms, and a business lounge. It can fit up to 45 people on board. You'd definitely be throwing parties on there. This shit is nicer than my house. But the craziest part is even though the plane is worth 185 million, Drake got it for free. A company called Cargojet knew Drake's impact on social media and culture, so they gave it to him as a marketing move, and they've said since it was a win-win. You wanna know what else is a win-win? Subscribing. It's free. But even when you're the most famous rapper in the world, you can't get everything for free, because he spent a shit ton on a long-lost carnival. Luna Luna used to be a famous amusement park in the 1980s, but the weirdest part is, none of the rides are rideable. This place is known for the rides being art pieces created by respected designers, but due to legal trouble, it shut down in 1987. Drake liked it so much though, he wanted to bring it back. So in 2022, Drake put in 100 million to help it get back on its feet. Damn, 100 mil on this? Shit looks like it was drawn by a child. He spent way more on mansions though, like with his Beverly Hills place. It's worth over 90 million, and it's got 10 bedrooms and 22 bathrooms. Don't ask me why I needed double the bathrooms. This thing looks straight out of Italy, and it's got a dope view of the Hollywood Hills. His bedroom has a retractable wall that opens to a private patio, so he can easily spit some game with the girl he's got over while appreciating the view. He's also got his YOLO estate in LA, which he bought for a cheap 7.7 mil. It has an 80-foot water slide and a private resort inside of the waterfall. It's a bit more compact though, so his neighbors are close by, and Drake told him that if his parties bother them, he'll just buy him out. Now that's a flex. And he wasn't bluffing either, because he ended up buying 2 other houses on the street, but his main crib is in Toronto. He built his $100 million limestone mansion exactly as he wanted it. He's put up a 15-foot Great Wall of Drake around the property, so no one can get in and take a peek. Each room in this place is basically like its own house. Like Drake's master bedroom has its own kitchen, hot tub, dressing room, and 2 decks alone. And you know, as a Raps fan, he had to get a basketball court installed. On the way inside, you can see all the jerseys Drake got from real NBA players, like Bron and Kobe. He's also got a huge Olympic-sized swimming pool, a spa, a movie theater, and of course a top-of-the-line recording studio. What more can you need? Well, apparently Drake needs more dopamine, because he gambles more money than I'll ever see in my entire life. He loves roulette and has hit some crazy wins. Like in one of his live streams, he hit a single roulette spin worth over 17 mil. Obviously, not every spin is a win. Like the time he lost 20 million betting with French Montana.
Embarrassing.
That's just luck though. Any bets that take some intelligence, like sports betting, he's infamously bad at. He's lost 2.6 mil on UFC betting in 2022 alone. 1.5 mil on Izzy to beat Pereira. His sports betting has been so bad, people even call it the Drake curse. So anything he bets on, they bet the opposite. But surprisingly, overall he is up. That's probably because he partnered with Stake, and they front the money for him to gamble, or at least giving him a bag to promote their site. If you've watched his streams on Stake, he's gambled over $1 billion on there, which I doubt is all his own money.
This is my alter ego.
I need the max win.
But the next billionaire is like the opposite of Drake except for the cars he owns, cause Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson owns enough cars to make his own Fast and Furious movie, and his gym has some of the weirdest equipment I've ever seen. These are stupidly expensive things The Rock owns, and even his diet breaks the bank, cause The Rock deep builds 4 times more food than you do. Every year, he eats 261 pounds of potatoes, 348 pounds of oatmeal, and 1,100 pounds of fish. And since he started this Greek god diet 10 years ago, he spent over $150,000 just on food. Bro literally eats more in a year than a North Korean kid will in their entire lifetime. But I bet that North Korean kid eats more candy than The Rock, cause he claims he hasn't eaten candy since 1989, until he finally broke his streak in 2016. But his diet isn't the only thing maintaining his physique, cause his home gym, the Iron Paradise, has better equipment than any other gym. But he doesn't call it the Iron Paradise for nothing. This industrial-sized gym only has gear made for elite athletes, from luxurious workout brands to dumbbells that go up to 150 pounds, and machines that could only be found at an NFL stadium. The Rock makes sure all the $300,000 worth of equipment is used every day. He's actually so dedicated, he can't even leave to go to the bathroom.
During every workout, I have to go to the bathroom, so I break out the bottle.
Oh, and if he has to travel somewhere, no problem. He has a team of people to transport all 40,000 pounds to his destination. That means he pays about 210 grand every time they move it, and The Rock makes sure his moving gym is never late. I mean, he has enough watches for every time zone in the world. And his Breitling Super Ocean Heritage chronograph cost him 8.3 grand alone. You know you're rich when you call your watch a chronograph. But he rarely buys one-off editions, because he collects collections of watches. He owns a $15.8 thousand collection of Tag Heuer, a $53 thousand collection of Rollies, and 4 IWC watches coming up to 76 grand. But his biggest watch stockpile of all is from Panerai. He owns so many, even his alter ego wears them. And after he dropped $84.8 thousand on Panerai, The Rock upped his game again, because this Audemars Royal Oak Frosted Gold chronograph cost him $328,000. That's more than every other watch mentioned combined, making his full inventory worth $560,000. But he's not completely self-centered, because since he was a kid, The Rock has always been a man of the people. At 11 years old, he saw his dad grant the first ever wish for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And since then, The Rock has granted 21 kids' wishes just to meet him. But he wanted to give more than just a wish, so he dropped $100,000 on top of it. And with Disney movies on his resume now, it's clear The Rock loves kids more than BBL Drizzy. He's even donated $1 million to Children's Miracle Network and another $1 million to Nicholas Children's Health System. And The Rock also couldn't forget the school where all of his success started, so he dropped $2 million for an alumni center at his college. If his student loans weren't paid off, they sure as hell are now. And you know what else is paid off? The millions of dollars worth of supercars he's got. Since he has so many, Ford even let him unveil this 2018 Mustang to the world, but The Rock didn't want to own it himself, so he gifted that $50,000 car to a combat veteran. And it's not the only time he gave a car away. When The Rock was homeless as a teenager, this guy Bruno gave him a place to live, so to pay him back, The Rock gifted Bruno a Ford F-150. The Rock's gotta be one of the nicest guys alive, man. But this mean Plymouth Prowler says otherwise, because he took it from the set of Pain and Gain for $39K, and he loved that criminal lifestyle so much, he got himself the ultimate cartel mobile, a 76 grand Cadillac Escalade. But that 5,000 pound SUV was too small for him, so he copped a massive 6,500 pound Ford Hennessy Velociraptor. This $150,000 monster could deliver the smackdown to any wrestler, and he's got an insane paint job too. Smurf blue? Well, at least his Lamborghini Aventador isn't as embarrassing as that. With a top speed of 217 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 of 2.9 seconds, it's one of the fastest cars in the world, and he spent a small $216K on it. But with a car that fast, he had to have some class to match those crazy IWC watches. And the Rolls-Royce Wraith is the pinnacle of class. Even with his undersized suits, The Rock still looks fresh as hell coming out this Bond car with 300 bands. And he must have got addicted to classy rides, because he bought a McLaren 650S for $309,000 and another Rolls-Royce. Except this one is a Cullinan. If he's ever feeling charitable again, maybe he could share that second Rolls around, because it cost him $330,000. But after the Rolls, The Rock stopped messing around with thousands and stepped into spending millions. Like The Rock's LaFerrari, the company's highest performing car. I mean, they put a goddamn F1 engine inside this thing. With a top speed of 218 miles per hour, this whip could probably race the Flash. But the price for superhuman speed is no joke, because this thing cost him $1.14 million, and it's still no competition for The Rock's P1 McLaren. It makes his 650S look like a Camry, and this hypercar is rare. So rare that every single car is one of a kind. No two were ever made the same, and The Rock loves to stand out. So he dropped a bag of $1.15 million for it. Now, hypercars, supercars, and luxury whips may be cool, but get ready for the most insane car yet. A car most people only dream of. The 2017 Ford GT? Don't let this simple muscle car fool you though. Even though he purchased it for a cheap $450K, it's worth over $1.2 million now. But $1.2 million is nothing when compared to the holy grail of his garages, the Pagani Huayra. This is the Jesus Christ of cars. By far the fastest car he owns, at 238 miles per hour. By far the rarest, as it's 1 of 100. And by far the most expensive car he owns, at $2.55 million. And the Pagani brings his total garage value to an insane net worth of $6.1 million. It's the perfect automobile. Well, almost perfect. The Rock had him modded a bit so he could actually fit inside, but he still looks like a straight up baller in this thing. And if anyone knows how to ball out, it's The Rock, because he even bought his own football league. Since the NFL dominates the fall season for football, The Rock brought back spring football to compete. The main spring football league was the XFL, but after COVID, they had to declare bankruptcy. leave it to The Rock to come in at the last second and absolutely pour money into the failed company, because he bought the XFL for $15 million and single-handedly saved spring football. And with plans to get the team count from 8 to 16 by 2026, The Rock could be a legit competitor to the NFL. You gotta hand it to him. He went from an absolute meme in a turtleneck to competing with world-famous sports. But one sport he can never compete with is the WWE, because they literally own The Rock. Up until their most recent deal, The Rock didn't even own his own name. But since The Rock wanted to make a return to the ring as a wrestler, he had some leverage to make the WWE transfer ownership of the name. And finally, he secured that deal for $30 million, which basically makes the name The Rock worth $30 mil. This dude's name alone is worth more than Taylor Swift's house. But he doesn't trip when it comes to real estate either. As the richest actor in Hollywood, he has some of the craziest cribs out there. And his mansion in Miami is basically a private resort. It even has its own movie theater so he can premiere his biggest flops. With 6 beds and baths, a gym, a garden, and pool. This thing comes in at a crazy $3.4 million. But before he bought up more land, he figured he should get back to his family. So he got his mom an even bigger house. This 4,400 square foot mansion in Encino has 6 bedrooms and 4.5 baths. And he even personalized it for his mom's taste. She has her very own ukulele display room, a SmackDown theme room to show off her son's success, a private chef, and a room just for breakfast. I hope she knows how much The Rock loves her, because he dropped $3.8 mil for this place. But it's nothing compared to the castle he owns in Georgia. This 14,000 square foot mansion has a library, wine room, stone fireplaces, a saltwater pool, and a real T-Rex skull for some reason. It even has a horse riding arena for him and his daughters. But this $9.5 million home still doesn't have as much room as he'd like. So he bought a 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom mansion in Virginia too. Most little girls just pray for a pony, but The Rock actually answered his daughter's prayers, because this place has horses, stables, and the entire countryside for them to ride in. This $12 million mansion even came with a massive pool for The Rock to enjoy his afternoons. But of course, his most insane mansion lands in celebrity paradise, Beverly Hills. This Mediterranean-style home is built for athletes like The Rock. He's even got a golf course, a tennis court, a pool, and a gym to make sure his kids try every sport. The Rock has to be the most annoying almost made it pro dad ever, but he still knows other hobbies exist. So he added a music studio and another movie theater. Hopefully he's self-aware enough to stick to Fast and Furious, which I'm sure he knows, because he's the biggest actor in the world. And what else would the biggest actor need? Well, the biggest private jet, of course. This thing is fit for a king. It has private chefs, fully reclining seats, a private suite, and a 55-inch 4K TV. The most insane part, though, is their anti-jet lag system. At night, the lights and sounds inside the plane are fine-tuned to adjust to your sleep schedule. And the price of no jet lag? A small $73 million. I guess I'll just have to suffer and coach the rest of my life like a normal person. Regardless of how he spends his money, the fans love him, but the next billionaire is hated by half the country. And Donald Trump's $100 million private jet has some crazy features, and it's probably the most luxurious plane ever created. But he also owns multi-million-dollar mansions with secret tunnels, a $30 million yacht, and so much more. One of Trump's watches, the Rolex Day-Date Gold, is $15K alone. He also owns the same watch that Drake and the late Queen of England owned, a Patek Philippe Ellipse, worth $24,000. But his most expensive watch is the Rolex Ice Blue Platinum, gifted by the one and only Steve Will Do It.
I wanted to get you a platinum presidential watch for the president.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
This watch isn't even available in stores and was custom ordered, making it worth $109,000, bringing his total collection up to $200K. But that's chump change for Trump, which is why he spent millions on his car collection. Most normal kids get a cheap hand-me-down for their first car, but Trump's first ever car was a 1956 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, and he loved the car so much. Decades later, he got Rolls-Royce to do a special favor for him. They pulled out the archives and made an exact replica just for him. Surprisingly, it only cost him $35K. But you know Donald can't be seen driving a cheap-ass car these days. He needed to upgrade to a $300K Rolls-Royce Phantom. And if you're wondering why they cost so much, just note that the volume control is literally made out of a 100-year-old meteor. You're not gonna expect this next car though, because even though dude doesn't believe in climate change,
All of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
he bought the original Tesla Roadster for $200K. I mean, it is one of the quickest cars in the world, so who wouldn't want one? But just like every other billionaire, Trump also needed a Lambo. So he picked up a classic 97 Diablo for $460,000, which recently sold at auction for a record price of $1 million. He owns plenty other supercars, but his most expensive car by far is the Trump limo. As soon as he became president, he didn't hold back on the security, because if someone tries to run up on Trump in his limo, the door handles would straight up electrocute them. This limo's bomb-proof, bulletproof, and can even stop chemical attacks. While it's driving, it could drop tear gas, smoke screens, and slippery shit to prevent people from chasing it. And of course they got shotguns, grenade launchers, every weapon you can imagine. Not to mention he added gold wherever he could, making this car, tank, worth $1.5 million. But just wait until you hear how much he spent on the Empire State Building. Everyone knows how famous it is in New York City, so it's pretty crazy Trump owned 50% of it. But somehow, this man also got that for free. Turns out the owner Hideki Okoi couldn't control the building because it was leased out till 2075. So Trump hit him up and said he knew a legal loophole to end the lease. All he needed was 50%. Trump was basically capping though, because even though he tried to break the lease by suing, he failed. So he sold his share for $28 million. That's wild. Trump legally scammed someone out of 28 mil. And once he secured that bag, he dropped millions on not one helicopter, not two, but 3 of them. And he didn't even get different types. Trump got 3 of the same helicopter, the Sikorsky S-76. And there's gold everywhere. Custom gold carpets, seatbelts, armrests, door handles. This dude is obsessed with gold. But why would he need anything else when the S-76 is one of the nicest choppers ever made? And with that, it cost Trump 7 mil each, making his total helicopter fleet worth 21 million. Normally he flies them from New York to DC, but sometimes he flies out to his $30 million yacht. The Trump Princess has more than enough space to land a helicopter, because it also has 4 different patios to chill on. Designed by a famous Italian designer Luigi Sturcio, this yacht is a work of art floating on water. But to really appreciate it, you gotta see the inside. The walls are made of expensive materials like chamois leather and bird's eye maple. I'm so broke I don't even know what that means. But the bathrooms are made of hand-carved onyx with gold everywhere. It's got 11 bedrooms and 4 elevators, with one being in his own master bedroom. Dude has a sauna in his bathroom and another on his private deck. The sun deck also has a full bar and its own pool that's protected by bulletproof glass. Even if somehow he was shot, this yacht has its own hospital with an operating room. But the funniest part is, Donald doesn't even like yachts. He said whenever he's on a yacht, he can't wait to get off. This man spent tens of millions on something he doesn't even like. Now that's a flex. But the next item Trump bought definitely isn't a flex, because it ruined people's lives. In 2005, he founded Trump University, which was supposed to help people learn real estate.
At Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about, success. It's going to happen to you.
The first class was free to get people in the door. Then they would convince you to buy a course costing anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000. Unfortunately, every class in the course consisted of common sense, and then they try to upsell you on a more expensive course. Basically, it was all a scam. And if that sounds familiar, it's because people on YouTube and TikTok have been doing that for years. Trump was really the OG fake guru. After spending all of their money on useless courses, people were devastated. But you know what's actually useful and won't drain your bank account? Subscribing to the channel. It's free. Anyways, luckily the US government stepped in and got Trump to pay up, fining him 25 mil and forcing him to refund all the students. Now that's pretty messed up, but this next item shows a better side of Trump. One of the most famous ice rinks in the world is the Wallman Rink in New York City, but in 1980, it was so busted they closed it down. This sucked for everyone visiting who wanted to ice skate during Christmas time. It was a tradition for thousands of families. For 7 years, they failed to renovate it properly, so Trump decided to come in and save the day. He bought the lease for $2.25 million and got the renovations done in less than 6 months, opening it up again for everyone to enjoy. And if you're thinking he only did it to make a profit, then why did he give all the profits away? Trump told the mayor he'd be donating all the money made from the rink to charities and public parks. Now that's nice and all, but he still could only do that because he's already stacked.
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
Which is why he owns one of the most stupidly expensive private jets in the world. But his first jet was the Cessna Citation X, and it's known as the fastest private jet in the world. He spent about 8 mil on it, but he was still hungry for more. A couple years later, he upgraded to a $100 million jet. And this thing is crazy. It's nicknamed Trump Force One, and just like everything he owns, he had to goldify it as much as possible. The seat belts, windows frames, sinks, even the showers. This plane's 3 times the size of a normal private jet, holding up to 44 people. It's got a dining room, TV area with surround sound, bedrooms, and a complete gourmet kitchen. It makes flying actually enjoyable. But when he's not banging one of the flight attendants on his jet, he's probably banging a star in one of his mansions. And his cheapest one is worth $2 million, located in New Jersey on his golf course. It's got a giant heated pool, tennis courts, a fitness center, helicopter pads, just the usual. He had to buy the golf course though, for $35 mil, so his wallet still took a hit. His next mansion though, is the craziest place I've ever seen. This private New York estate is a massive 230 acres. It's completely surrounded by nature to get away from his busy city life. Trump also rides his horses around the property, since we know he ain't walking around with all of that. And if he needs to cool off, he could go in one of the 3 pools they got, 2 outdoor and 1 indoor. Obviously, this is way more than he'd ever need. I mean, it's got 60 rooms, 60! But it's still in the middle of nowhere, which is why it cost him $7.5 mil. His next mansion is in Palm Beach, Florida, so it cost him a bit more. And since this was his main place during his presidency, this mansion has some insane secret features. Like if there was ever an attack, there's a secret underground escape tunnel. And if Kim Jong-un decides to try and nuke him, he'd still be safe, because there's 3 different bomb shelters around the property. When he's relaxing though, he could be by the oceanside pool or eating at one of the restaurants inside. This mansion cost him $10 mil, but he's also got a $13.5 million house in Beverly Hills. This place has your standard Trump requirements, like a pool and more rooms than you could dream of. But the coolest part about this house is that it's got top-of-the-line Bose speakers everywhere, so we could blast Lil Pump walking around. Trump also owns some other $10 million houses, like one in the Caribbean and one in Charlottesville. But 10 mil still ain't nothing to a billionaire. That's why he needed to go all out for at least one of his properties. And you'd be surprised that his most expensive home isn't even a house, it's an apartment. This 3-story penthouse is located in New York City at Trump Tower. Obviously, he's got gold everywhere, crazy chandeliers, and so much art it's like a museum. He's even got a library full of expensive books, like a $15,000 signed copy of Muhammad Ali's book GOAT. His penthouse is worth $100 million today, and combining all his other properties, he's got like $155 million just mansions. Makes sense for a billionaire to own hella mansions. But one thing I'll never understand is why Trump bought an entire race. You might have heard of the famous bike race, the Tour de France. And in 1989, Trump wanted to show him the US does everything better. So he decided to create the Tour de Trump. The race went from New York to Jersey, and the winner would receive $250,000 just to set up the event. It cost Trump $500K, making the total check $750,000. But it would turn out to be a bad investment, because the race stopped after a couple years. Eventually, he started another race, but this one would end up killing someone. There was a Florida speedboat race that Trump had his eye on. He wanted to buy and move it to Atlantic City, so viewers could go to his casino right next to the race. But there was one problem. The race used to be in a place where the water was calm, but moving the race to Atlantic City, where the waves were much bigger, would turn out to be a recipe for disaster. During the event, boater Kevin Brown was speeding through the competition, going 150 miles per hour, when suddenly, Kevin was killed instantly, and the race had to be stopped. It was definitely a bad omen, and the race had to be postponed 4 days in a row due to bad weather. But Trump didn't care. All the fans that came to watch were bored out of their mind, so they gambled at Trump's casino instead, making him millions. And this was no ordinary casino either. It was called the Trump Taj Mahal, one of the biggest casinos in the world, and that's why it was Trump's most expensive purchase ever. This massive casino has way more than just some slots and blackjack tables. It's got multiple nightclubs to drink the pain away after gambling your life savings on roulette. But if you happen to win, it's got an entire shopping mall inside, so Trump can grab your money in a different way. It's got a spa, pools, and multiple high-end restaurants as well. And if you're really bored and somehow have a little money left over, you can hit the amusement park. Yeah, it has enough space for giant rides and games. And with all that, you might see why it cost him $1.2 billion. But the controversy doesn't stop with Donald Trump. Up next got another controversial billionaire, because Bill Gates' $650 million yacht has its own waterfall, but he also owns a $130 million book, a $65 million futuristic mansion, and way more. But first up, let's start with this island. Bill wanted to one-up his good old buddy Jeffrey and decided to get one of the biggest islands in the Caribbean. But on this island, there aren't any creepy mansions. Yet. Just a small hut and some of the best scuba diving in the world. This island cost Gates 25 mil, but that's chump change to someone worth 150 billion. So you want to know what he spent 100 times that amount on? A machine that can turn poop into water. Yeah, Gates was touring Africa and saw how many people were drinking unsafe water, and I guess he couldn't just build wells like Mr. Beast. So he decided the best solution was to make them drink their own shit. Bill promises it's safe though. He even had a sip of it himself. And it cost Bill 200 million to invent this. But don't worry, for an African village it's much cheaper. It only costs 2 million. I think Bill forgot they probably can't afford that. But after his trip to Africa, he flew away in one of his 5 private jets back home to his mega mansion and decided to go for a joyride in one of his supercars. But he had a problem. He couldn't decide which car to drive. He was thinking of driving one of his cheap cars, like the Jaguar, Tesla, or Mercedes. But today was a special day. So instead, he decided to drive a car so rare, it's banned in the United States. In 1986, Gates bought a Porsche 959 in Europe, since they weren't sold in the States. He tried to import it to get around the US laws, but they weren't having any of that. So his car was impounded for 13 years, until Gates was finally able to bring it home. And after all that hassle, the final price tag came out to $200K. But since he can only drive that on his private island, he also owns a $100,000 Porsche 911. But obviously he doesn't just own Porsches. He owns a classic Ferrari 348, which was the last Ferrari made by the original automaker, Enzo Ferrari. This only set him back 100 bands though, and Gates knew he needed to step it up. So he copped a Rolls-Royce Ghost for $388,000, since it's known as the ultimate comfort vehicle. Everything about this car is made for the owner to sit in the back, because we all know billionaires rarely drive themselves. But still, that makes his total car collection a cheap 1.2 mil. Bill spent way more on a man that was lost at sea, and he wasn't even saving anyone's life. Dude spent 36 million on a painting of a dude lost at sea. I don't know why he'd spent that much, but it easily broke the record for the most expensive piece of art sold in the US. Not to mention the other art in his collection, because altogether, it adds up to 124 million. Why would he care though, when he has more private jets than you have shoes? His cheapest one is the Cessna 208 seaplane. He uses it to fly to his island or other remote parts of the world where there are no runways. That only cost him 2.8 mil though, but the very first private jet he owned is way nicer. And surprisingly, he bought his first one 10 years after becoming a billionaire. I guess he got tired of listening to crying babies every flight and purchased a Bombardier Challenger for 27 million. But he must have been really annoyed on that last economy flight, because he didn't just buy one, he bought 2 of the exact same plane. These Challengers feature nothing crazy, just reclining seats, a swing-out table, couches, super basic. But when Gates started becoming an old man, he started needing more naps. So he bought a $78 million Gulfstream G650 ER, since this jet comes with a bedroom. And again, he couldn't just buy one, Vince bought 2 of these also, making his total private jet fleet worth $210 million. Jets are at least useful though, and Bill's gotta blow some money, so he bought a book that's worth more than a private jet. This is the famous Codex Leicester, written by Leonardo da Vinci. It provides a rare glimpse into the mind of a genius, and it shows da Vinci was kind of a weird dude. Throughout the entire book, he wrote backwards so you could only read it in a mirror, and Gates is also a weird old dude. So he bought the book for $30 million, making it the most expensive book ever sold. But it actually turned out to be a good investment, because now it's worth over 130 million. Dude just prints money out of thin air. But Bill has way more cash tied up in all the mansions he's bought, and he must love California, because he owns 3 different properties there. His cheapest home is only 12.5 million, probably because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a part of the community called the Vintage Club, and to even be allowed to buy any type of house there, you gotta pay $250,000. But I guess he was tired of being surrounded by people, because he dipped and bought a $43 million oceanfront mansion in San Diego. Apparently he turned this place into a giant bachelor pad to throw a bunch of hooker parties, and it just finished being constructed this August in 2023. But while construction was going on, he stayed at his $18 million mansion that was a short 30-minute drive away. He probably bought this mansion for his daughter though, since she rides horses and this property happens to have a horse track. And And that wouldn't be the first time Gates bought a mansion just because of his daughter. He actually bought an entire street full of mansions just so she could practice horse jumping. Except these mansions are located in Wellington, Florida, and only cost him about $27 million. But his craziest mansion is called Xanadu 2.0, located in Washington. And it's the most futuristic house I've ever seen. Like if you're ever invited in, you get a pin to wear around that automatically changes the lighting, temperature, and music of any room to your preferences. And most of these walls are giant screens that show different pictures and artworks throughout the day. It also has a heated indoor pool and an entire room filled with trampolines, because we all know Bill loves to jump around. That's just the inside though. On the outside, you'll see Bill's favorite tree, which he guards with 24/7 security for some reason. He also has an artificial stream that's filled with fish, and the sand on his beach is imported from the Caribbean. This has got to be one of the craziest houses in the world, but it's still worth the same amount of money as his book, $130 million. And just wait till you hear about how much money he's spending on his kids, because you'd think someone worth $150 billion would at least leave $1 to $2 billion for his kids, right? Nah. Bill said f them kids, and is only gonna leave them with $10 million each. That's probably just cap though, because he'll be leaving his $1 million properties to them as well. He plans on donating the rest of his money to charity, but not before buying a $650 million yacht. Since this thing is so big, Gates has to take his $4.2 million helicopter to get to it. On the outside, it's got an infinity pool with a goddamn waterfall at the back, and 4 different decks with lounge areas. But on the inside, you'll see the top lounge is completely surrounded by glass, so Bill gets a 360-degree view wherever he's at. And as you go down the giant spiral staircase, you can see the entrance to a spa, hair salon, and world-class gym. This yacht has 7 bedrooms with a giant master that has more space than my apartment. Not to mention this absolute beast is fully powered by hydrogen, so it's completely environmentally friendly. It's actually only a rumor that Gates owns this, but I'm sure he'd never admit it anyway if he did. But he will admit that he owns the most farmland in the entire US, and it's his most expensive purchase ever, which is weird, since he literally said he wants all the rich nations to switch to synthetic beef. I don't know about you, but you can keep your lab meat. Don't worry though, because even though he owns 270,000 acres of farmland, that's still less than 1% of the total available farmland, so we should be fine. All that land cost him about $1 billion, but there's actually one more thing that cost him billions on billions, because in 2011, Gates met with Epstein multiple times and was caught on his flight logs going to the infamous Epstein Island. And once that was exposed, Gates was accused of pulling a Catholic priest and touching little kids. According to his wife Melinda, she told him from the start that it was a bad idea. I don't know why he needed someone to tell him that, but whatever. This all got exposed in 2019, along with him having an affair with some hoe at Microsoft. So Melinda divorced him, taking $76 billion of Bill Gates' money with her. None of those items are super cool though, but the next billionaire has cool stuff I didn't even know existed, cause Dana White has a ton of stupidly expensive items, like this illegal Soviet-era AK-47, wrapped in $100 bills. This AK has an exposed magazine, which shows off some super illegal substances in each bullet, as well as blood, oil, gold, and diamonds. The gun is supposed to be a piece of art that represents the change of currency used throughout the ages, but he used modern cash to buy it for $25,000. But Dana doesn't just own small things like an ancient samurai sword collection and one of the most expensive shoe collections in the world, because those are just worth hundreds of thousands. Some stuff like his mega mansion with an entire arcade is worth millions. These are stupidly expensive things that Dana White owns, and everything in this video is just gonna keep getting crazier. But we gotta show you Dana's custom bike, which is actually one of the fastest bikes in the world. He bought a UFC decal 999R with a top speed of 170 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. No wonder it cost him 23 grand. But sometimes he gets bikes completely for free, like when Harley Davidson gave him a custom chopper in exchange for a UFC sponsorship, making it worth $25,000. And even though he had the Ducati for looks and the Harley to ride the open road, he still needed something to go light speed. And this MV Agusta F4 that cracks 194 miles per hour gave him just that, for a small price of $34,000. But Dana's way more of a sneakerhead than a motorhead, because the shoe collection in his office is worth way more than any of his bikes. He's got pairs of Howlerhead shoes, UFC kicks, and even a custom pair of House of Pain Jordan 1 lows, designed specifically for Dana White. But his favorite shoe of all time is the Travis Scott bandana print. It's worth $10,000, and you'd have a better chance of seeing Dana fight in the octagon than seeing him wear these. Actually, he doesn't wear most of his shoes. From the Bart Simpson dunks, to the 7-Eleven dunks, to his entire top row of shoes, including the Air Jordan 1 Chinese New Year. He even owns a collection of Grateful Dead dunks worth 12 G's.
You wouldn't catch me dead wearing these, I'll tell you right now.
But there's one pair that's so crazy, he can't help but wear these at least once. The Dior X Air Jordan 1s. Those are gonna be some expensive creases though, because they're $16,000 shoes. He has more shoes than a goddamn mall. After he spent 100,000 bands on shoes last year alone. He doesn't just have a mini mall in his office though, he has a full-on museum, because he has enough swords to take on a samurai. But before he copped any swords, he picked up some 16th century samurai drip. This armor is so rare, you have to sign up for private registries just to even see it. So Dana went to a private dealer and brought the armor to his office at UFC HQ for $12K. But an empty samurai can't chill in the fight capital of the world without a sword. So Dana made a guest appearance on Pawn Stars and liquidated Rick Harrison's entire katana section. He walked away with a collection of 7 small wakizashi katanas, but also 2 authentic Japanese katanas from the early 1600s. One can even be traced back to a samurai family from over 500 years ago, and the other traces back to a legit samurai lord. Dana straight up turned his office into Bruce Lee's weapons room, but it cost him $69,000. He's really into classic works of art, and even adds full artwork to his cars, because Dana's craziest whip is one of the coolest custom paint jobs I've ever seen. But before we get to that, we gotta show you one of the most monumental car purchases he's ever made.
I got drunk last night and bought that smart car.
Yeah, imagine being so rich that you could buy a $12,000 tin can on wheels while you're drunk just for fun. But Dana ain't no tree hugger, so to clear up his image, he bought up a few vintage American-made muscle cars. His collection of classic rides includes a 1969 Chevy Camaro, 1971 Plymouth Barracuda, and a 1969 Ford Bronco. The Plymouth Cuda was custom designed by iconic mechanic Chip Foose on the show Muscle Car. And if you thought old cars were sold cheap, you'd be wrong, because he dropped $228,000 for all 3, with UFC bikes and garages filled with American muscle. Dana's one step away from becoming John Wick, so he added some more class to his inventory and dropped $72,000 on a Bentley for himself. And that's not all. Just days after being gifted $500,000 from Steve Will Do It. That's right, gifted. Another friend gifted him a 2024 BMW 7 Series. This thing is literally from the future. Doors open at the push of a button, and a mini flat screen TV hangs in the back seat. It even has a touchscreen panel that controls the whole car. I mean, you could even use this thing to subscribe to the channel, just like you should right now. And this $97,000 ride came from a 21-year-old gambling influencer. Buying my friend a beer is hard enough. I could never imagine a BMW. And when Dana's got friends buying him cars, he's got to make sure his family gets some love too. So he outfitted them with not 1, but 2 luxury SUVs. His $80,000 Range Rover for casual drives, and a $123,000 Cadillac Escalade ESV for pulling up to UFC fights like he's 50 Cent. And if his kids didn't know he's got stupid money, best believe they know now, because Dana spent even more on 2 $125,000 BMW M6s. One he keeps for himself, but he gave the second one to his son for his 16th birthday. Hopefully Dana's got some car insurance too, because he loves his fast cars, like this iconic Ferrari Testarossa. Its fame comes from the classic TV show Magnum P.I., and Dana gave his $142,000 Italian race car a green card, so it looks exactly like the one in the show. And Dana obviously loves his TV, because he bought the same car Ari Gold drives in Entourage. This $217,000 F430 Spider rocks a ridiculous top speed of 211 miles per hour, and he actually drives these cars the way they're meant to be driven, because he's getting pulled over all the time. Dude went flying past a cop and got off with a warning. Perks of being one of the richest dudes in the world, I guess. But Dana's also one of the coolest dads in the world. For his second son's Sweet 16, Dana bought a 70th edition Land Rover Defender V8, and we clearly know who the favorite son is now, because this limited edition Defender was only one of 150 ever made and cost 180,000 bands. Of course, Dana made sure he ended up with the wildest car in the family, because he bought a $300,000 custom Maybach van. What made it so expensive? He wrapped the whole thing in Howlerhead Bourbon logos, which is the liquor company he owns. I'm starting to see how the whole smart car incident happened. Some of these cars look straight up AI generated. Honestly, if you're trying to make a bag like Dana White, whoever figures out how to use AI the best is gonna make millions. Like, you could make one of these AI TikToks that just tells a story, and if you get a lot of views, you could make thousands of dollars on one video. Like, if you go over to NVIDIA AI, make a really detailed prompt about a story you think would go viral. Boom.
Am I the only one that didn't know people spend millions on the most ridiculous things?
You have a fully scripted, edited, and exported video. And if you want something changed, you can just tell this AI to change whatever you want. But the craziest feature with NVIDIA AI is that you can even clone your own voice. Am I the only one that didn't know people spend millions on the most ridiculous things? This is next level because now people can create videos in their own voice without having to edit or record anything. You could try Video AI for free, but if you're serious about video creation, you can get a paid plan that starts at just $20 a month, which is the one I have. And it will remove the watermark, plus give you access to voice cloning and high quality stock footage. Just go to the link in the description and use my code WealthVault50 to get twice the number of video generation credits in your first month. But Dana lives his life in the fast lane, on and off the road, because he bets the same way he drives, aggressively. At this point, the UFC is basically funding his gambling addiction, and Dana knows he's got problems. I mean, he always starts the night off with $75,000 in hand. Oh, and if he wins, he'll take a profit of $150,000 and dip. But $150K is nothing to Dana, because he ain't afraid of swinging his dick around when it comes to his favorite game, blackjack. And he has a secret about how he can win so much gambling.
I have no fear of risk.
But Dana has to be fearless to enter and win. A tournament where he hit the absolute worst number, 17, and won $250,000. If I ever hit 17, I'd go bankrupt. But Dana's luck is truly out of this world. I mean, this man put up $10,000 on the F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix and turned it into $500,000. His insane luck even got him banned from the Palms Las Vegas casino. He was on a crazy 24-0, 3-month-long winning streak in blackjack. So after Dana pocketed $2 million, the casino just couldn't let him win anymore. But the owner still had respect for Dana winning so much. So he gave him a custom championship belt as a forced parting gift. Unfortunately though, Vegas is the one place where you can't win without payback. And Dana's luck eventually ran out. He bet on Jermaine Taylor to beat Kelly Pavlik in a boxing match, even though Jermaine was favored 8-5. He got hit so hard that he lost the fight. But Dana's bank account was hit even harder, because when Jermaine lost, Dana lost $1 million. But burning through $1 million is nothing compared to his biggest loss at a casino. At the Rio in Las Vegas, Dana had one too many drinks with his friends and left the tables thinking he lost 80 grand. He went to work the next day pissed off, but the real bad news came when the hotel manager called him. Apparently Dana was blackout, so he didn't even realize it wasn't just a small 80K. He lost a staggering $3.2 million. After that night, he swore off drinking while gambling, but he loves Vegas way too much to stop gambling completely. He even built one of his mansions in Vegas because he loves the place so much. But his real estate portfolio is way more than just one house. His smallest place is a 9,500 square foot palace called the Ultimate Fighter Mansion, and he doesn't even live there. He commissioned it specifically for UFC fighters to live in during the filming of Ultimate Fighter. This insane 2-story mansion has 9 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms. Each bedroom has luxe furniture, huge walk-in closets, and hand-stitched bedding, while each bathroom has a massive soaking tub and full shower. A hand-painted, Roman-style mural covers the ceiling of the mansion's entrance. It's like living in a mini Caesar's palace. And somehow, it has even more amenities than Vegas hotels, like a movie theater, custom UFC-branded pool tables, and even an executive office. But the backyard makes this place feel like a tropical resort, with palm trees and stone walkways, a pool with a jacuzzi and overhanging waterfall, and a gazebo in the center. I'm surprised the fighters ever leave. And this pimped out frat house cost him $5 million. But when he's not buying mansions for his league's fighters, Dana buys up a whole neighborhood for his own mega mansion. It started in 2006 when he bought his former business partner's Vegas mansion, but neighbors were making constant noise complaints, forcing Dana to pay $2,500 in fines per month. So instead of toning it down like a normal person, Dana absolutely dunked on the neighbors and bought all the properties surrounding his home for a combined 17.7 thousand square feet. I guess money can buy happiness. And the first addition to his mega mansion, his very own full-stock gym. But it wasn't just stocked with weights. He threw money at a UFC style, fully padded grappling and boxing room, a Pilates studio, a steam room, a massage and facial room, and a recovery room with an infrared bed. After he got his D1 college-sized home, Dana got a basketball court customized inside the house and personalized it with the Celtics logo. But Dana doesn't care what the game is as long as he can play, because he has an entire room set aside for gaming with a foosball table and even an entire arcade. The standout machine is Street Fighter, because what UFC fan wouldn't put that in their house? And he doesn't spend his whole day gaming, because he has a backyard big enough to host Project X, with a saltwater pool, jacuzzi, sun lounges, and an outdoor bar. This place is any man's dream, especially with Dana's luxurious barbecue setup for his personal chef. With a gym, game room, and resort-style backyard, the total price tag came out to a whopping $7.8 million. And even with this private Vegas hotel, Dana still has hundreds of millions to spare. And he used a few million to buy a luxurious Bombardier private jet. with a capacity of 14 passengers, handmade cabinetry, and hand-stitched reclining seats. This plane has higher quality material than most supercars. It's so comfy. He fell asleep mid-flight with Mike Tyson, and Mike proved why sleep is the last thing you should do around him. To accommodate family trips, it also has high-speed Wi-Fi, widescreen TVs, Blu-ray players, surround sound, LED lighting, and a conference room, which adds up to $90 million. It's basically a movie theater in the sky, but $90 million is still a fraction of what his biggest company makes him. And Dana makes more than top fighters in his own league. When Dana acquired the UFC for $2.1 million in 2001, all he got was a UFC brand name and an octagon. He literally started with nothing and made the UFC the fastest growing sport on the planet. He was president until 2016, when it sold for $4 billion, making it the biggest sports acquisition in history. That's like buying a Big Mac and selling it for the price of a tomahawk steak. When the acquisition went through, he retained 9% ownership, which may not seem like a lot, but it gives him a salary of $20 million a year on top of leaving the acquisition deal with $360 million. Damn!